Welcome to my crystal collection series of videos, which was requested by one person, and that was all I needed to hear to take on this project. There's going to be 10 videos in all. I have 2 cases, 5 shelves each, and that's why I'm going to do a video for each shelf. They are in no particular order except for aesthetic wise. So I've taken them off the shelf and I will just sort of show them off here in that order. So a few things to expect from this video. As I go through the crystals, I'll be going into the makeup and geology of some of the crystals, where they come from, etc. What I won't be doing, however, is delving into the metaphysical aspects of crystal healing. Personally, I think it's a placebo. I do not believe in it. If you do, that's great. I'm happy for you. I just personally don't. So there's that. You'll also notice I have a lot of specimens, which is like my favorite sort of crystals. I do have carved, but they're very, very simple carvings, like geometric shapes, spheres, towers, etc. I'm not really into the detailed carvings or anything like that. I find it to be kind of tacky. That's just my personal preference, though. And I also want to talk about the crystal industry as a business itself, because there's not much oversight in the crystal industry. And so you have a lot of snake oil salesmen that will try to scam you of your money if you're not careful. This includes lying to you about whether or not a crystal is heat treated, whether it's lab grown or completely man-made. They also tend to mislabel crystals as well, and I'll get to all of that when we go through the crystals. I'll quickly point out that before you purchase any crystal, go learn about it. Learn what it looks like, where it comes from, everything. I also suggest you learn about it not through a site that has a shop linked to it or a store, because there's a conflict of interest there, obviously. I suggest you go to mindat.org. It's just a collective of geologists, so there's no motivations behind what they're saying. And yeah, so without further ado, let's begin. So we're going to start off with my dioptase piece here. As you can see, it's got this beautiful blue-green coloring to it. It is found all over the world in every continent. This one in particular is from Renville, Congo. You have to be quite gentle though with this, because it is quite brittle. It's only a 5 on the Mohs scale hardness. If you don't know what Mohs scale hardness is, it's just the strength and the hardness of a crystal. So there's 1 to 10, that's the numbering, and say 10 is a diamond. Then you've got something like, dioptase, which is only a 5, so it is quite brittle. But definitely a beautiful piece, and it sparkles. Like, look at that. Isn't that just gorgeous? And then next I have my pyrope garnet specimen. This is also found in every continent, but it's even found in eastern Antarctica, so that's kind of crazy. This one is also from the Congo, and pyrope garnet is just a particular kind of garnet that usually has this very red wineish kind of coloring to it, but there's so many different variations of garnet. It's a lot. You can even have garnet that's more green, which I never knew until I started, getting into crystals, because really, who's heard of green garnet? But it does come in all these varying shades of coloring. It's crazy. But this one, pyrope, yeah, it's definitely got this wineish coloring to it. And so next I have my agate with lavender druzy geode cut base half. This one in particular is from Brazil, but it can be found all over the world. Agates are very, very common, and a lot of people get agates mixed up with chalcedony and jasper because they're very similar, but I will explain the difference between those 3. So what all 3 have in common is the fact that they're all forms of microcrystalline, which is a microscopic form of quartz. Chalcedony being translucent, meaning that light can pass through it, but nothing else. You can't see objects in detail through the crystal. Whereas jasper is full of inclusions, so it becomes opaque, meaning that you can't see anything through it. It's just different varieties of coloring depending upon the inclusions within the crystalline. And agates is a combination of both. Usually you see banding when it comes to agates, but this is not necessarily so, such as flower agate, which looks like flowers, right? But yeah, so those are the differences between all three of this type of microcrystalline, the agates, chalcedony, and jasper. They're all just different forms of microcrystallines. And as you can see here, the reason why this is an agate is simply because it's got these sort of lightning-shaped jasper microcrystallines within the chalcedony. But I guess you can see a little bit of banding here with this sort of druzy cave, but yeah, so this is why this is an agate. Next here I have my moldavite specimen, which it looks small and doesn't really look like much, but this is quite rare and highly sought after. It's actually not technically a mineral or crystal. This is a tektite. So what is a tektite? Well, a tektite is a naturally formed glass. And this very, very small piece of moldavite will range about $50 to $100 easy. And that's because of the sort of unique way it was formed. It formed because of a meteorite that had hit the Earth in where is Bavaria now today, which is in southeast Germany. And due to the impact and the heat, what had happened was the Earth, where it landed, had melted. And then because of the impact, it flew through the sky, so it solidified. So it melted, then solidified in about a fraction of a second, then landing in the Czech Republic, or what's now known as the Czech Republic. And that occurred about 15 million years ago. So how this was formed can never be recreated. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime tektite that won't exist after it's gone. Hence why it's high price. However, that's nothing compared to when it becomes mined out. When there's none left, this will definitely skyrocket in value. You used to be able to get slightly bigger pieces than what I have here. However, it is now to a point where it's almost mined out completely, and so only these little pieces are left out there. And because of this, and because it's highly sought after, there's a lot of fakes out there on the market that you need to be aware of. Fortunately, you can definitely tell the difference between real and fake. So moldavite has a very particular look and feel to it, which can't seem to be recreated by man. It's got this very matte finish to it. The ridges are all unique, and the coloring is this sort of matte, deep olive green, whereas fakes tend to be glossy. It's more smooth even with the faked ridges that they have molded. It can't seem to get that matte, grainy feel of moldavite. It's too glossy, and the coloring is different. The coloring always tends to be a little bit more vibrant. You can also tell on a microscopic level the difference between real and fake because of that really quick cooling process. It had formed variform inclusions of latexlerite, which is a pure silica glass and melted quartz, which, if you look through a microscope at it, you can see they form sort of like little tiny darker worms within the moldavite. These inclusions are very specific to moldavite, which can't be, again, recreated by man. So yeah, I'm just glad I was able to snag up a piece before it's all gone for my collection. Moving on, next here I have my Golden Healer quartz cluster with botryoidal malachite growth specimen. It's a mouthful, I know. It is a combo specimen, so more than one material. In regards to the Golden Healer aspect, Golden Healer is just clear quartz with iron inclusions that cause it to have this sort of yellow streaking within the quartz. And the botryoidal malachite is this green material. It's a mineral, and the botryoidal aspect of the malachite is its formation. So botryoidal means ball-like structure, And this doesn't just apply to malachite, it can apply to a variety of different minerals and crystals, this botryoidal growth. This won't be the first time you see malachite in my collection. Malachite happens to be one of my top 5 favorite mineral / crystals. It's just really, really pretty, and it's just got this really nice chrome sort of highlight to it that is just, I think, is just really just gorgeous. So, and next I have another agate from Brazil. This time it's a mini geode, so very small and tiny, but still cute, and I love the banding of it. The way that it's shaped, it is displayed on my shelf as sort of like wings, like angel wings, because it kind of reminds me of that. But yeah, so just another little mini geode. Then I have here my smoky quartz freeform from Brazil. So what a freeform is essentially a carving that maintains the structure and shape of the crystal. It's just basically sanding down but maintaining its form and polishing it. So Brazil is quite famous for its quartz, all the different variations. It's usually high quality, and this is no exception. This has great clarity for one, and even the cracks or whatever, the fissures within, actually form a rainbow, and quite a huge rainbow and clear rainbow, as you can see right here. Now, although it's possible, it's very highly unlikely that there isn't going to be, in a freeform or a tower, any sort of variety of quartz that is completely free from either cracks, inclusions, wisps. What wisps are like ghost-like shaped inclusions within the quartz because of the little tiny microscopic crevices that fill up with gas as the crystal quartz is forming. If your crystal is free and clear of all of these things, then the most likely thing you actually have is just glass. Not crystal, not quartz. And you can further test your quartz to know if it's real or fake by using a scratch test. So you take a piece of glass and try to scratch it. If it scratches, it's glass. If it doesn't, it's quartz. Because quartz is pretty strong. It's a 7 on the scale of the Mohs scale. So that's also one way you can tell if your quartz is man-made. Then next I have here is Kundalini citrine cluster specimen. So this type of citrine comes out of Africa, the Kundalini kind, and they come looking like clusters with a few big points surrounded by smaller ones. It's got sort of more of a smoky look to it, like a champagne smoky coloring to almost a tea coloring. And you probably won't find a lot of these out there on the market being sold. Citrine actually is quite rare. Rare enough that what you think you've been seeing and being told is citrine probably isn't, because 95% of what's being sold on the market is fakes. I won't go all into that right now. Instead, I'll wait till I have the other citrine, which comes from Brazil. When I show you that one, I'll go into the sort of details of all of the market scams out there that you need to be aware of if you are trying to find a piece of citrine. However, I will speak about how it came to be citrine. So what is citrine? Citrine is actually quartz. Clear quartz, sometimes smoky quartz, sometimes amethyst, which is a variation of quartz with inclusions causing that purple color. So citrine is formed or created by the earth because it exists, these quartz, in a pocket area next to natural heat, kind of like the same idea as hot springs, where over millions and billions of years being close to that heat those heating vents or whatever within the earth, causes the quartz to irradiate, creating this very champagne-like coloring. And this is why it's so rare, because it has to meet certain conditions for it to be turned from quartz into a citrine. And what it takes, like I said, millions of years for that process to occur. So yeah, very sought after and rare. So I'm happy to be able to own a piece of citrine. Next is going to be the last and final piece I have to show you for today in this video. That is of my Zeronite slab. So Zeronite is a combination piece of a bunch of different minerals and crystals. That combination being copper, malachite, azurite, gothite, cuprite, gibbsite, chrysocolla, and chrysoprase, all set within a lemonite matrix. This slab in particular, comes from Russia, and no piece is exactly alike because how this mixture sort of forms is through the air pockets within the lemonite matrix. And it forms these sort of like little pictures, and so no piece is exactly like the other. This sort of Zeronite mineral or crystal or rock or whatever you want to call it isn't really well known in the crystal market. It's quite unique to my collection because most people haven't even heard of it, which is interesting simply because I think it just looks really cool. I mean, so many cool looking pictures that you can sort of make out within the piece of Zeronite here. And yeah, I really love it. And I'm glad I was able to, know about it because most people don't. And it makes my collection a little bit more unique. And yeah, so that's about everything for today in this video. But look for the second video coming up really soon. And I will see you later. Bye!